Hello everybody, welcome back to the bench. Today I'm going to be continuing my 6.5 Creedmoor loading, showing you guys what I do to my cases, and talking about all that stuff that I use. A few updates here. We got 2 new boxes of burgers. I got some long-range hybrid target bullets. I got 144s and 153.5s. So those are new. We've already shot the 140s. And the results are behind me there, and those turned out to be really good. I'm not, for this next batch of 100, I'm not going to mess around with mag length bullet seating depths. I'm just going to do the 20 thousandths off the lands. I'll show you guys how I find the lands in my rifle. Really simple, easy, cheap, and you don't need to, you don't need any fancy tools except for, a micrometer and a spare case laying around. Other than that, and the Hornady bullet comparator. But realistically, if you guys are loading for precision, you should have the bullet comparator and the case shoulder, so you know how much you're bumping. But aside from those two, and a solid set of dies and a single stage press or something rock solid that you trust isn't going to have any play in it. That's just why I like the single stage O presses. Other than that, I'm just going to jump right into it. First thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to trim up these cases here with my Hornady case trimming setup. I'm not going to bore you guys to death while doing that, so I'll just meet you guys on the other end of this. Alright, just got all of these cases deburred. I also used a nylon brush on a drill just to clean out the necks just a little bit, because there's a little bit of carbon in there. The next step that I'm going to do is actually 2 steps. I'm going to be priming the cases as well, but I'm going to be using this PMA expander mandrel. And I figured I'd just break this little PMA tool down for you guys real quick here. So if you go to PMA's website, you can buy the die. They sell the die and then mandrels separately, so you can get different size mandrels. I just went with the 6.5 recommended expanding mandrel. Yeah, 2.6, 2.5. So I'm getting, so effectively, I think what a lot of people will call that is 2 thousandths of neck tension. There is a little bit of spring back in the brass when you run it through this die. So 2.6, 2.5. 1.5 thousandths, but really it's probably like 2 thousandths of neck tension. It's just like how much the case shrinks back up and will grip the bullet effectively. So I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about that. And okay, so I have just gotten done expanding 50 cases, and I'm gonna try and explain this better than I did before. So we're going to expand. I said we were going to expand and prime. We're not priming while we're expanding. Lessons learned the hard way. This die, you got to keep the press moving, and you want to go pretty fast. It's a good idea to pull the expander mandrel out of the die before you start, and lube it and get it all waxed up or whatever you're using. I'm using the Imperial die wax, so it's a good idea to get some of that on your finger and throw it on the expander mandrel before you start, so that way that's all lubed up. And then the first couple cases, you're going to want to put lube on the inside of the necks as well, or I put lube on the inside of the necks as well. I'm sure everybody's got their own way of doing stuff. I also don't tighten down the set screw in the top. I get it down to where it stops, and then I back it off just like a little turn, so that way the mandrel can actually has a little bit of wiggle. And that's really, it's I heard about somebody doing it this way, and it made a lot of sense when they explained it, because say you tighten this down all the way and something isn't square in there, and your mandrel is just kicked off slightly to one side or the other, and it's not nearly as consistent. When you just let it float, the case, because the case also has a little bit of inherent wiggle in the case holder, so that little wiggle plus this, plus the little wiggle in there, they'll meet up, and it'll be a more because of the amount of pressure that you're exuding on it, it'll be a more concentric to the, you know, the center of this will find the center of the case a lot easier if you're not forcing them to be out of center. So there's a little tip that I learned from somebody that let me know. So, and I want to demonstrate this. So we lube up the inside of the first couple cases here, just to make sure that that mandrel is going to work with this. And, you know, I guess speed is the key here, but you really don't want to dabble. You want to be in and out as quick as, like, you know, we're not racing here, but don't fuck around. Get in and get out, because if you stop in the middle of the stroke, the case has a tendency to want to stick there. So we lubed up that case, and the mandrel's lubed now, so you can usually get away without lubing for a few cases, but you don't want to pussyfoot around. I mean, you really want to get after it when you're putting the case through this die. So just a couple examples for you, and if you feel it starting to stick anywhere, it's probably a good idea to hit the next case with a little bit of lube on the inside of the neck, just to keep everything nice and smooth. This is one of the few moments in time where, you know, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Well, this is kind of, don't be too slow, because too slow isn't smooth. So just kind of cranking through these cases. But yeah, I figured that one out the hard way. I think I'm going to amend the way that I do it and prime the cases after I'm done resizing the brass, the first sizing, the case dimension sizing. I think I'm going to prime them at that step. So I'm going to take an extra step now, because I have to go back through and prime all these cases. They got to go back through the press again. So if you want to save some time, probably prime them after you're done doing the full length sizing. Or, you know, do it however you want to. I'm not the bossy. I'm just showing you guys how I'm doing it. So I'll see you at the end of this run, and we'll reconvene after I probably got all these primed, because I mean, it's priming cases is not rocket science. Oh wait, technically I think ballistics is rocket science. Priming a case probably not so much though. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. But I want to see if there's any the first time I used this, I had a little bit of an issue, but it might have been because this is brand new brass, of brass getting like gouged and stuck to the mandrel, which supposedly is fairly normal. There's a little bit, but not nearly as bad as the first time. So, and I suppose this is the real thing. Clean it off, and yeah, not too bad at all. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, I just wanted to update you with that. I'm gonna go ahead and prime all these cases. I suppose I'll run you guys through like one or two, just to show you, you know, how someone on a press would do it. So let's go ahead and take a piece of brass. I already got the primers loaded in there. Just pretty good pressure. And really, just making sure that the primer doesn't stick out past the base of the case. Because if the primer sticks out past the case of the base, if the primer sticks out past the case, past the base of the case, it'll make closing the bolt a lot harder, and it's probably not good, and you know, probably a hazard actually at that point. So, you know, just make sure that you can't feel it when you run your thumb over the bottom of it. But aside from that, I mean, you know, it's priming cases. It's pretty much doesn't change. And I haven't done anything to these primer pockets. Literally did nothing out of the box. No no reaming, no nothing. Didn't need it, because obviously they're for reloading, so I don't think they would send you a case that wasn't ready to just be primed out of the box. And I haven't done anything since then because nothing has happened to the primer pockets, and overall, real happy with them. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime up these guys, and I'll see you guys at the end of this step. Alright, so I have primed the cases. The next thing that I'm going to do is, before I continue on with the actual loading part of this, I'm going to get some numbers here for these bullets to figure out where they contact the lands in this rifle, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it. I've had pretty good success with it. I'd say, or you know, it's getting me close in the ballpark. Just got this little case here, and I made a couple of relief cuts in it with a grinder, and I sanded it up and smoothed it out so it's not going to scar my chamber. And effectively, what it does is it'll hold a bullet for me, and I'll just insert it just a little ways, and then I'll put the bullet, I'll put the cartridge into the rifle. When I close the bolt, the rifle will jam the bullet into the lands, and then it'll push the case. It'll push the bullet into the case, and then I pull it out. I measure that, and then I use that number for effectively what the jam of the particular bullet in my particular rifle is. So, starting off here, we got the Berger 140 VLD targets, the ones that we've already shot. We've seen good things out of, but I'll just demonstrate with this guy. So we've got the bullet starting real long. I'll just show you. Yeah, we're looking. Disregard the 3 there. It's actually just 2 because this is an inch. So 2.325 about. 2.325 to the jam, or to the ogive on that bullet. Excuse me. We're gonna lay that in there. Help her into the chamber a little bit. Close the bolt, pull it back out a little bit, close the bolt again just to make sure, and then I try and be as careful as I can to keep the bullet, because the ejector spring is still on my bolt. I try and keep the bullet from whacking the action on the way out, so that way it doesn't twang our number up. I mean, this case does hold the bullet pretty good, but you know, it's a lot easier than trying to move a bullet inside of a normal case, that's for sure. So, just being careful. So, the number that we've got now to our ogive is 2.292. So, we'll do 2.292 is the jam at ogive. So we'll just say at ogive. And effectively what this does is we'll take this number and then we'll subtract the 20 thousandths. Oh, excuse me, you can't see what I'm doing down there. We'll take the jam number that we just got, we'll subtract 20 thousandths from it, so 9 minus 2 is 7, so is it? Yes, yes it is. 2.272 is our minus 20 thousandths. So this is like a good starting point to start our bullet seating depth. It looks like here on my last one, the 20 thousandths off the lands, I got a 2.266. So what's that, 4? That's 6 thousandths different. So I seated it 6 thousandths deeper into the case, which I think I'm going to run with the 2.266. So we'll subtract another 6 thousandths from this. I haven't cleaned this gun either, so I'm wondering if the lands might be just a little dirty and it's giving me a different number on this. Dumbass from the future here. The reason that the lengths to the ogive are so different, I am now hindsight 2020 realizing, is because I shot 120 rounds through the rifle since the last time I measured the jam with those bullets, and it's probably barrel erosion. 6 thousandths seems like quite a bit of erosion, if that's the case. I also did mention I didn't clean the rifle when I did this, and the other time I took the measurement, I had cleaned the rifle. I don't know why that would affect it to be longer than normal. Maybe it's a little bit slippier in the slippery, a little bit more slippery in the throat of the chamber, but I don't think that's it. If you know, go ahead and leave a comment down below. But my theory is it's just because I put 120 rounds to this rifle. So when I'm mentioning all this, oh, I'm gonna minus 6 thousandths off of these bullets, just remember, like, it's probably because I shot 6 thousandths of, the jam lands out of my rifle or whatever since the last time I shot it. So, all right, back to the video. 266. So we're gonna keep that one the same. But I've got 2 brand new bullets that I want to check out. So, without further ado, up next on our block here is a VLD 144 grain. Oh no, not a VLD, excuse me, a long range hybrid target. I'm excited to give these guys a shot. They were a little bit more expensive than the VLD targets. And the last time I was in the store, actually, I wanted to pick these up, but they were out of stock. So I'm super excited to give these guys a shot. We'll just go ahead and get that guy started in there. 2.351. No, it doesn't really matter. It's just showing you guys that before and after it goes in the chamber here. Fully remove it. Looking like that ogive is out there a little bit further because we're at 2.308. Actually, you know what? I just kind of want to try it with another one just to make sure that we're going to get a consistent reading. Keep that one out here. Let's see if it moves here. So I got this one actually seated in a little bit deeper. So this is 2.280 on the money. So theoretically, this shouldn't move after we chamber it, is the idea. Yeah, it didn't move. 2.280. And looking like the same result here. So we got 2.308 for the jam. And we will minus 20 thousandths from that, which will give us 2.288. Should be 20 thousandths jump to the lands. And according to Berger, these are very jump tolerant. So I think what I'll do is I'll load 10 at our 20 thousandths, and I will load 10 at our, we'll just do 26 thousandths. We'll minus another 6 thousandths, 2.282, somewhere in that ballpark. So we'll try both of these guys. Last but definitely not least, we got the 153.5 grain ELR. These are, again, more of the long-range hybrid target bullets. And holy cow, these things are long. How long are these things? Damn near just over 1.5 inches. 1.5 inch long. Only 0.264 inch around. Okay, see here, just got it barely started. Oh my god, we're all the way out into the fours here. 2.416. 416. 2.416. Now when I almost got to feed into the chamber. Close that bolt. Close it again. Oh my god. Barely comes out of there. Looks like we're getting 2.322. 2.322 to that first ogive, and we will double verify it with another bullet out of the same box here. And again, 2.322. 2.322 to jam. Minus 20 thousandths is 2.302, which is where the other bullet was jamming at. So the ogive is way up there. So I'm curious to see what we get out of those guys. And just for shits and giggles, I think we're going to do the same thing again. And we'll just minus 6 thou off of that guy, and we'll get 2.296. I think I want to do the same thing here and try both of those. Maybe do 10 at the 2.302 and 10 at the 2.296. And we'll start with that. But first, I'm going to do a little research and see what other folks are loading theirs too. Just because, golly, that is a long bullet. I mean, a 2.302? How long is just the cartridge overall length? Here, let's put that bullet back in there. Verify the jam. Okay, yeah, landed 21 there, so 2.321. So that's the same, effectively, as the other two that we got. Zero this caliper out. And get a cartridge overall length of 3 inches 20 thousandths. 3020, which is, that is a stinking long bullet. Alright, different day, full cup of coffee. Where did I leave off? Okay, I got some jams and some minus 20 thousandths off the lands for our bullets here. And I have also done some research on powder charges, because this time I am going to modify the powder charges per each bullet being loaded, since we're getting heavier and heavier. 140 to 153.5, that's a pretty big jump. So, if I put 40.5 grains here, that's like a middleweight, lower end charge for the 140s, but 40.5 is, it's in the red in my book, and I don't want to risk damaging anything. Like my gun or my face is really key here, so I'm going to adjust those. So what I've come up with, here's our jam stuff. What I've come up with is I'm going to load 60 of the 140s, which I believe is what I should have left in this box. So I'm going to load the rest of this box at the 2.266 to the ogive with 40.5 grains of H4350, and that's really just so that I can shoot a couple more groups with it, and then have some fun with the rest of them. I'm hoping to do some long range shooting, and we'll see how those guys do long range. And then up next we got the burger. We're gonna do 20, but I'm gonna do 10. So 100. The burger 144s here. I'm gonna do 10 at the 20 thousandths jump, and then 10 at the 26 thousandths jump. And we're gonna shoot some groups with those guys. I've bumped the charge down a whole grain to 39.5 of 4350. Theoretically, these should be in the same ballpark of powder charge, but just for the giggles here, I'm gonna bump it down, shoot the groups, and shoot them through a chronograph, but focus on the groups and see what kind of difference we get between these two charges, SD and ES velocity wise. And then the burger 153.5, so I'm gonna load 20 of these guys at and the same thing, 10 at the 20 thousandths jump, and then 10 at the 26 thousandths jump. And I've bumped this down another grain to 38.5, which is a good starting load for a good starting charge for these bullets. As I said before, I don't want to blow my gun up. I don't want to blow my face up. I would like to keep all my digits. After all, I'm not getting paid to do any of this, so, if you want to go test your gun at higher powder charges, that's your choice, and I didn't tell you to do it. I'm letting you guys know what I'm doing here with my gun, and you shouldn't do what I'm doing with my gun, even in your own gun, because every gun is different. So, on to loading these pills up. I'm going to be using my what is it? The Lyman Gen 6, the automatic powder triggler. Nice little footprint guy. I'll give you guys a rundown on that here in a second, but let me move some stuff around. We'll get right into it. Okay, so I got my Gen 6 Lyman automatic powder trickler here. I find it to be a solid. It's a solid electronic scale. Just top off my 4350 here. That's always nice, isn't it? Oh man, I need to go get some more powder though. I like this powder scale. It's got a few tricks that you got to be cautious of. The first one is zeroing out the scale. If you have one of these, or if you get one of these, do not lose your booklet that has the calibration settings in it. It's kind of complicated, but I'll just run you guys through it here. So hit the calculate or the calibrate 0 button until it says 0. Hold it down until it says cal 50. Throw the calibration weight on the scale. Hit the cal 0 button again. It'll zero out, and when you pull the 50 gram off, you should be getting 771.6 grains, which is what we got there, or 50 grams, but the grains is more precise. So that's what I calibrate to. It's probably not a bad idea. Actually, I'm going to do this right now just so that I don't lose this. I'm going to write it on the freaking top of this cap here. Bingo. All right. Now I don't care about the instructions. Yeah, it's a lie. I'm going to still keep them around. But then you can see how sensitive it is when I blow on it. You know, my breath has a weight there. Zero out the powder pan. And it's also a good idea too to figure out how much your powder pan weighs. So 124.4. I'm actually just going to write that on here too. .4 is what the powder pan weighs. So that way, if you're throwing charges and you see this number deviate from what your powder pan weighs, it's a good inclination that you should check your calibration and make sure that there's no powder grains sticking on the actual flat of the scale or something like that. So there's that guy. For 300 bucks, as far as I understand it, this is a budget powder thrower on the market. So I'm not going to be too harsh on it, because I mean I should be, because 300 bucks is not cheap for one of these, But in the realm where you can spend, I think you can spend 400 bucks on like the RCBS, and like that's like the Charge Master. I don't even think that's the fanciest one. And then you got the people out there with the crazy super trickler or whatever 6000s or whatever. People are spending crazy money on those. As for me, I'm just a hobbyist. I want to be precise and have good equipment, but I can't afford to be paying a mortgage loan on all the shit that I got. So the Gen 6, and it's small, which I also like because I also use my bench for other things besides reloading. This is not a dedicated reloading bench, but I still need to be able to do mechanical stuff on it. As far as this goes, it's always a good idea to have a known scale like this one, like my Redding here. Make sure this guy's zeroed out, and we'll throw a 40.5 grain charge on this guy. 40.5. Oh, it's a touch screen as well. I'm not a big fan of the touch screen. Everything pretty much out there I think has a touch screen on it. This is companies, stop it. You don't need to make this needlessly feature packed. Just have the basic features and make them do them well. I don't need a touch screen. Clickety clackety buttons would be the optimal, but honestly just little rubber dome buttons would be great too. I'm not sure how long the touch screen on this thing's gonna last. Okay, looks like 48.5 grains. Let's just verify. That's what we get on this side. Back to what I was saying, I don't need a touch screen. A little digital readout, great. All these other buttons should be actual buttons, And that's just, and I'm kind of a tech guy, but like my computer, I got a mechanical keyboard, It's like, because if touch screens were really better than, for inputting information, if touchscreens were better, that we wouldn't have mechanical keyboards, we'd have touchscreen keyboards. And you know what, that sounds like hell. Touchscreen keyboard, absolute worst thing ever, because I don't want to, I want to know where I'm at without having to look at it. Whereas this one, I got to make sure, and obviously you should be making sure that you're inputting the right powder charge, but you know, it's just like, come on guys, like, you know, just a little 10 key, you know, a little 10 key pad wouldn't be bad. But that's just me. It's just a gripe I have. Looks like we're throwing real good on this scale over here, so we'll start charging cases and setting bullets. I also picked up a just a Lyman pan with a funnel on it, because I'll take that pan, dump it into this pan, dump it into the case, seat the bullet. So I'm gonna move you guys, and we're gonna get started on seating some bullets here. Okay, so I just got done loading 40, all the same, 40.5 grains at 2.266 to the ogive. I'm actually going to amend it. I was going to load 60. I'm only going to load 40. That way I can load 10 more at the longer ogive lengths on the 144s and the 153.5s. That way I can shoot some 10 round groups, and I'll have 10 rounds to play around with. I'm hoping to get out to 1,000 yards with the 140s. I'll shoot a group or something with the 140s, and then I'm going to use the rest of those for long range. So the 140s, I only got like 20 of those left. Up next are the 144s. Also, I found out a neat little trick with this powder trickler. There's an auto repeat button on the bottom left, so you know, for this next one, the 95, or we're gonna do 39.5 grains for these next bullets. So 39.5, and you hit enter. It'll throw 39.5. So once it throws the first charge weight, I dump the powder into my transferring one and set it down. And once it reads 0 on there, it'll say auto, and it'll start the next one. So you don't even have to press the enter button. I was being a sucker. All right, the 144s are loaded, and now we're on to the 153.5s, and I thought the 144s were long, but this is really the long one, so I guess we're gonna see here. No, the overall lengths are honestly they're not looking too bad in the box over there. I mean, they're definitely way longer than my mag will accept, but I just got the stock Bergara plastic mag. I think MDT makes a steel mag that should allow these to be magazine fed. So I'm definitely going to have to invest in one of those if these turn out to be the bullets I hope they are. For 70 bucks a box, I mean, come on. I was worried about that. I was worried that the boat tail wasn't going to be in the case, or in the case neck far enough, but we're getting probably good 80% contact. I'm happy with that. We'll see how they shoot, you know. Something needs to be adjusted, it can. And they said that these bullets are very jump tolerant, so I guess we'll do some testing down the road how jump tolerant they are. What is the overall length on these bad boys? Like almost 3 inches. Pretty much 3 inches to the nose. So I'm actually curious if that MDT magazine will accept them. Alright. Well, I'll see you guys when all these are done. Alright, just got done loading up the 153s. So I got my 40 140s here, 20 144s here, 20 thousandths, 10 144s, 26 thousandths, and then the same thing, 153s, 20 thousandths, and the last 10 153s, 26 thousandths off the lands. The next thing to do is to go shoot them. I will get some footage of that, and I'm going to shoot probably a similar target like I got back there. And then I will also be taking the 140s and hopefully 10 of each of the 144s and the 153s out to 1,000 yards is my plan. So hopefully you guys see that in the near future. But until then, deuces. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, do the YouTube thing. Appreciate it, guys. All right, see ya.